Alright, so here we are, day 3 of week 1, and I'm going to read the history section about Einstein. I started it yesterday, and they did mention something about him being passionate about world peace, and I didn't really know and still don't know anything about it. So I'm hoping that I find out more about that today. I'm zooming in with my reading so you guys can see everything. Einstein was born in Germany on March 14, 1879, to a Jewish family that owned a small shop that manufactured electrical equipment. While most children were talking by the age of 2, Albert didn't begin talking until he was 3. And when he entered school, he did not do well. He disliked the structure and routine imposed on students in the German schools. He found schoolwork dull and boring, and he showed little interest in classroom learning. Still, he was quick to grasp mathematics and taught himself difficult math concepts even before entering secondary school. After several business failures, Einstein's family left Germany for Italy when Albert was 15 years old. He stayed behind in Germany, but left after failing an entrance exam to a technical school where he had hoped to study to become an electrical engineer. He joined his family in Italy for a year and later completed his secondary education in Switzerland. He went on to Swiss college and completed a program that certified him to teach math and physics. However, he was unpopular with his professors, who refused to recommend him for a teaching position. Wow, that must be frustrating to think about that part. I'm also going to underline this piece up here where it says that he found schoolwork kind of dull and boring. I wonder if there's some people who are geniuses who find themselves in that position. In the late 1800s, there was a time of many negative prejudices, feelings, and actions against Jewish people. These attitudes, called anti-Semitism, were especially strong in Germany. Like many people who immigrate to escape religious oppression, Einstein left Germany because of the strong climate of anti-Semitism. In 1900s, he became a citizen of Switzerland. And when you're religiously oppressed, what that means up there is that they basically hold you back, put you down, don't let you have advances, and later on I'm sure that you know there were lots of things that happened in that area around war, and so him being able to escape and move to Switzerland was probably huge. In 1902, Einstein got a job in a Swiss patent office where he worked for 7 years. He spent his free time studying physics and playing the violin. In 1905, he earned a PhD in physics from the University of Zurich. During those years, he published many professional papers on physics. His unpopular ideas were not accepted by his colleagues until experiments later proved them correct. Because Einstein's ideas were ahead of his time, few people understood them, and few people understood them today. I probably would be one of those people. Yet he went on to become a famous physicist and developed new thinking about how matter and energy behave. Einstein studied many things related to physics. Before Einstein, ideas about atoms were mainly based on speculation, or guesses, educated guesses. Einstein used mathematics to prove the existence of atoms. He also showed how the energy from light turns into electrical energy when it hits certain metals. For centuries before Einstein's time, scientists had disagreed about the nature of light. His work allowed them to move forward in their understanding of how these principles work. One of Einstein's most famous theories was about how the rate of motion of an observer affects the movement of time. For example, imagine you're on a train traveling 60 miles an hour. You toss a ball to your brother at the speed of 15 miles an hour. To both of you, the speed of the ball will be just that, 15 miles an hour. But to your mom and dad who are on the platform at the train station, the speed of the ball is moving. The speed of the ball's movement is the speed of the toss, 15 miles an hour, plus the speed of the train, 60 miles an hour, for a total of 75 miles per hour. And they show that illustration. The idea led Einstein to many other ideas about light, speed, and motion. These ideas are too numerous and too complicated for this book. See Explore More on page 23. But his work revised earlier ideas about motion and time that have been around for centuries. It introduced and provided many ideas about motion and time being relative. That is, they are not constant in circumstances. So I did attach a link on our website about Albert Einstein. So I'm going to put here, look at YouTube link on our class website. And that's just on the D3 extensions and those types of things. If you're really interested, check it out. In addition to these ideas about relativity, Einstein is perhaps best known for his famous equation E equals mc squared. E is energy, m is mass or matter, and c is the speed of light, and c squared means multiplied times itself. This equation means that tiny amounts of matter can be converted into a huge amount of energy. This is the basis for how nuclear power works. I'm going to underline that. So when somebody asks me, what does E equals mc squared represent? Well, it is the basis for how nuclear power works. A tiny amount of radioactive fuel, such as uranium, is converted into an enormous amount of heat energy. These and other ideas brought Einstein's fame in the scientific world. In 1909, he began the first of several teaching positions at universities in Europe. He was even given honors and awards, including the Nobel Peace Prize in Physics in 1922. After lecture tours in the United States, the Far East, Spain, and South America, Einstein was again teaching in Germany when the Nazi Party won a critical election in 1925. He strongly disagreed, make sure I read that one right, with the Nazis' social and political beliefs. In 1932, after his third lecture tour in the United States, Princeton University offered Einstein a part-time teaching position that would alternate with his work in Germany. He accepted and moved his family to New Jersey at the end of the year. In January of 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed the Chancellor of Germany, and Einstein never returned to Germany. He became a U.S. citizen in 1940. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Because Albert Einstein was a Jew, and Hitler did all of the, basically, what they would call genocide, killing all of the Jews. We might not have what we have today if he would have had to stay over there. Glad he was able to be here and stay safe. Einstein was a passionate supporter of peace and disarmament. During World War I, he was one of the few German scholars who spoke out against Germany's involvement in the war. After the war, he was criticized harshly for his pacifist, peaceful values. Pacifist is like a peaceful person. After World War II, Einstein's plea for international disarmament increased. Although he had helped to develop the first atomic bomb, he spoke against further development or use of nuclear weapons by any nation. I wonder if he regrets that. So I'm going to ask that question in my notes. I bet he does, because if he's not a fan of that, it's interesting that he invented it. Einstein died on April 19th, 1955, in Princeton, New Jersey, at the age of 76. One of his legacies was the demonstration through his own example that one needn't be a genius in every area of life to make significant contributions. He did not speak until the age of 3, failed a school entrance exam, did not excel in college, and was so absent-minded that he had difficulty remembering his own address. Yet, despite these shortcomings, he made enormous contributions to the understanding of how the physical world works. I love this part. For those contributions and for his vision of world peace, he deserves the recognition and unique level of respect he has been accorded, which means given. So now I'm going to take some time. I'll pause this video and start the second one because of time. But this just really goes to show me he really did so much. I'll take my history journal and get started. September 17th, 2020. History. And this is all about Albert. This reading for today. It's interesting that they chose to put him in this selection, because even though, don't get me wrong, I believe the other people are extremely talented people. We had Albert Einstein, Gloria Estefan, and Mutombo, and I mean from all different places: Cuba, Africa, and Germany / Switzerland. And then you sit here and think about his contribution as a whole. Huge. Even though I'm probably sure Dikembe Mutombo would, with his contribution to building a hospital in that area, is probably saving so many lives. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause, and then I'll get back to writing this in the next video.